Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to something I don't really do nowadays, and that is a Mount&Blade Warband mod showcase. So, the mod in question is Between Empires, and it is a complete overhaul mod, which basically, instead of the regular Warband map, puts you on the map of Europe, plus bits of Asia. Yes, the entire thing. It's an absolutely mind-bogglingly huge map. And it puts you between the years 1860 and I think around the start of World War I is where the mod actually covers stuff, you know, technological advancements and stuff like that. So let's get into it right away. I'm doing one of those train the peasants to fight the train the peasants to fight the bandits coming at them sort of deals, and well, allow me to show you the most important bit of the mod, probably. Which is this. Yeah, there is a strategic view, and you command different companies, and you can organize these however you see fit. And yeah, this reminds me quite a lot of Mount&Blade Bannerlord, where you get to command units in a semi-similar fashion, but with this, you can actually organize proper battles, you can organize troop movements, flanking maneuvers, so on and so forth, and you get out by simply clicking U. There you go. So, the weaponry in the mod feels absolutely awesome. It's just inaccurate enough to not make it, you know, unfun and overpowered, because you will be dealing with massive armies, and if all of the guns are stupidly accurate, then, you know, there's problems with that. You can reload on the move, and you reload relatively quickly. So, yeah, it's really, really good. It's a great mod, and I'd like to showcase it for you. Reason being, there's not that many people talking about it. I mean, I've seen a couple of videos here and there, but the mod mainly doesn't seem to attract a huge crowd from what I can see. And you can fire with, you know, the old Civil War style Colts with this thing. I mean, that's just bloody awesome. Alright. So, let's see if we can't end this properly. I think I'm going to need my other unit to move up like that. Now, the one downside is troops do move quite slowly. Well, downside, you know, depending on who you ask. I actually really like the fact that battles take a while. The engagement distances are massive. Like, you could shoot people on that hill over there, and your troops will do that. And they will hit, you know, not very reliably, but they will hit a lot of the time, which I'm definitely a fan of. Now, peasants are not the greatest army to be going into combat with. As you can see, they're rather prone to getting killed. However, I do have a fair bit of my own men which can hold their own. Now, are there more, or have I? There are more over there. All right, let's organize the second company to move up, and look at that. Actually, let's get them charged. Yep, never mind, they got him. Actually, most of my men were in this company. Should have moved in there sooner. Anyways, that's like the main feature of the mod. Or at least one of the main features of the mod. The second one... actually, I could recruit a few more units. Let's do that. The second one is the map, and I'm going to show you that really quickly. Behold, let me just rotate it so that more people are, yeah, this is how you usually see the map of Europe. So, we have all of Italy, all of France, all of the British Isles, parts of Scandinavia, Denmark, Germany, Austria, huge swath of Russia, all the way over here to Omsk, and down here in the mountains, we then get to the Khaganate of Khiva. This is Georgia, basically, nowadays, Armenia, stuff like that. That part of the map, and then... oh yeah, we go all the way to Kabul, Afghanistan, parts of India as well. Here's Janipur. This is the British colonies in 1861. And then parts of what's were/arguably are Persia. And then the Ottoman Empire, of course, Africa, Cairo, Alexandria, Egypt, stuff like that. And then, yes, this bit of North Africa too, belonging to the Ottoman Empire, Tunis, and finally we get over to Spain, which is also represented, and Portugal, and the Sultanate of Morocco, as well as French Algiers. Yeah, all of this. Now, not all of the factions are done. If you head over to Greece, you'll see that all of them are naked, because the armors aren't done yet for Greece, well, the outfits and stuff like that. But a lot of the work is done, and the mod is in open beta 0.5 at the time of recording. Now, here's the thing. Most mods on ModDB for Warband are in open beta. This is how mods work generally, and, you know, it takes years upon years until they're finished, but a lot of the mods simply end up dying, or being abandoned before they get anywhere sensible. This is a very active mod. July 6th, I think, at the time of recording at least, was when the latest update hit. 2020, which, for Warband mods, is very, very recent. There are few mods nowadays that get updated extremely regularly. Usually you will have to wait a while for big updates. So this mod is constantly being worked on, and I'll show you a little bit of the weaponry that we can have here at the beginning of the game. Later down the line, however, as you progress through time, new weapons and new outfits and stuff like that gets unlocked. So I came here because I actually need to buy some food for the men. Let's do that really quickly. Taverns are a little bit... well, they're a little bit lackluster. I was hoping I would see NPCs in the taverns. But you do get your regular, you know, not just quest NPCs, but like, or mercenaries, but like actual, you know, people that attend the tavern. But yeah, it's just a regular Warband tavern. Town Hall has been reconstructed. I mean, every town hall in the game. So here you go, that's what a town hall looks like. Most of them are similar, but again, you know, early access, and not early access, beta is beta, and so on. And then here we have the streets of Budapest. This is gorgeous. I mean, look at this. This is gorgeous for a mod that's like, you know, in its early stages, relatively early stages. This is amazing. And like I said, the combat is what attracted me the most, because unlike Galadriel Imperial Age or Napoleonic Wars and stuff like that, it really strikes a great balance between accuracy and fun. So like I mentioned, if the guns are too accurate, then, you know, battles end up lasting a very short amount of time, and either you kill a lot of people or you get killed very quickly, and it doesn't seem, you know, the skill cap goes down, basically, with, especially if you're talking about single player. The Eagle, or I'm not sure how you're supposed to say that in French, l'Aigle, whatever. It's been like a while since I had to speak French. Anyways, that mod, like, is pretty abandoned. I think the last update was a few years ago, so this is the closest thing we have to something along those lines. Now, as far as immediate playability is concerned, yes, you can go, you can, the looting of villages and the economy doesn't seem to be all that well balanced. Certainly you'll have way more money than you need very early, very quickly. However, also you can recruit troops, like, fairly quickly. There's a whole bunch you get from villages, which honestly is a good thing in my opinion. But, alright, let's hunt these suburban rebels down. Show you some more combat. But also, not only that, actually this, I should probably talk about this later. Alright, let's do combat first. So, like I said, you order troops around, but there is also artillery. Yes, actual functioning artillery. It's not very accurate, but it's artillery. It really works. unlike those, you know, in some mods you have to use the cannons manually. In some mods you don't actually use the cannons, you throw stuff and then, you know, the cannon does an effect and, you know, that's supposed to simulate cannon fire. No, there's actual cannon crews and cannon fire that you can set up on the battlefield and shoot your opponents with. It's bloody amazing, right? So, not only that, but also... I figure we should... Tell you what. Let's do this. Let's put them up here. Yeah, I think that's what I want to do. Alright. Put everyone up here, because then they can get better shots at the enemies coming towards them. It's always good to take the hills. I think I'm going to get in closer, which is not actually a great idea. And that is a great segue into the things not so great about the mod currently. So, a lot of the mods, in fact I dare say the vast majority of mods on the website, and especially of the more popular mods like what was it called? Actually there's two of those for a Game of Thrones and a World of Ice and Fire. So those mods have battle continuation. So what that means is, it depends on who you ask, but generally the consensus is that after you get killed, the battle shouldn't end. And that's why we have battle continuation mods. So in some situations, what the game will do is it will give you control of one of your soldiers, which I think is brilliant. You know, you just get to get right back into it. Your main character is wounded, you know, too bad, but you know, you get to continue the battle. In other situations, you get to spectate the battle, and all of your troops are ordered to charge, and then, you know, you get to see what happens. I think that's a less fun option, but those mods are a little bit finicky to get working. Sorry, that's an easier mod to get working, where they just charge and you spectate the battle. The one where you take control of one of your troops is, I think from my limited understanding of Warband modding, it conflicts with other mods, and there's a whole host of issues with implementing it with other stuff. So, yeah, it touches a lot of files, basically, and if those files are modified, then, yeah, there's problems. Anyways, so it doesn't have battle continuation, unfortunately, but I know some people don't even like that mod to begin with. So maybe that won't be a problem for you. Another thing that the mod also kind of lacks, apart from the previously mentioned, you know, Greece being naked and some other situations in the game like that, of unfinished content, the AI struggles, because they have to deal with such massive empires, the Ottomans especially. You can take over a lot of this and they won't even react. Which kind of is good in some ways, because the Ottomans are a stupidly massive empire, and so is Russia. So them being a little bit dumb and the AI not reacting all that great is kind of alright, I guess. It certainly allows smaller nations to fend off a little bit better than perhaps they should, you know, given vanilla situations and terms. Now, with that said, you can also change how quickly the game speed changes. Does that make sense? So basically, this is 365 days per year. It's the slowest thing you can get. It's the minimum one. You can do it extremely quickly, where basically for every 6 in-game days of you, whoops, not what I meant to click, of you just, you know, going around doing quests, gathering your men, fighting, whatever. This here will actually change very, very rapidly, and a whole year will pass. Now that's relevant because, let's say you don't want to start in 1860, or you really want to advance through all of the different technological changes in the game very quickly. Well, then what you do is, you know, you set that to minimum and or set that to maximum, and you know, you get to the year you want, and then you can change them on a whim, basically. Which is pretty good, though the start options are kind of limited. When you create a new character, you get a couple of zones to choose from, and that's about it. Which isn't great, but, you know, early days of the mod, and so on and so forth. However, the probably greatest nitpick for me right now in terms of immediate playability is lack of bridges. So bridges do exist. You can cross the river somewhere. So like this is the Danube, right? I've got no idea where I can cross the Danube. It looks like I can maybe cross it here, but no. There's no bridges on the map. And this, in, like, France, is pretty important. In Britain, less so. In Germany, depends on where you go. In the Balkans, around Belgrade and Novi Sad and, you know, Croatia over here, or what is modern-day Croatia, it's a nightmare. Because I thought I could cross somewhere up here. Turns out I need to go here, 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 here to get to Belgrade. There's no way to get to Belgrade from, like, this region quickly, right? So either you cross over here or you cross, like, way over here somewhere, which, you know, it's alright. I would just prefer to see where the bridges are. Obviously, I'm hoping this will come in the next patch or the one after that, but it's kind of spoiling the fun for me at this given point. I guess you can play in Italy and, like, you know, the between Rome and Naples and just, you know, ignore that entire problem. The garrisons are also really well balanced, to the point where you can't take on cities easily very quickly. Even though you have a lot of money, you just don't have the manpower to do it. You can command, like currently with this character, I can command 47 troops, and, I mean, fair enough, he's just level 7, but 2 in leadership, you know, put that to 5 and it's still not a huge difference. But for example, if we take a look at a random Ottoman fortress, it's 164 men in there. And that's generally the size, roughly, for pretty much all the forts around the map, which I'm perfectly fine with. The siege battles are also pretty darn interesting. However, the one thing I don't really like, and is also a missing feature, is it's very, very difficult to tell the difference between cities and forts. So this is technically a fort or an HQ, right? So if you go there, yeah, see, it's an HQ. Belgrade, believe it or not, is also an HQ. Now, you know, it's 1861. I think Belgrade has something around 100 houses or so, and that's it. And, like, maybe, I don't know, a factory or something along the way, but 100 houses in total. Fair enough, it's an HQ. This is an HQ. What about Budapest? See, you'd think Budapest is a city. You'd think Vienna is a city, but on the map it doesn't look any different from Salzburg, which is a HQ, or from Augsburg, which is also an HQ. But Munich is a city. Now, there kind of is a bit of a difference. Kind of, right? You can see that this is smaller and that this is bigger, but sometimes I'm really not sure. Let's look at Vienna. City, probably, right? I mean, it's Vienna. You'd think it's a city. And then there's this, which is a village, I think. It doesn't have a flag over it, so I guess that's one indicator, but they look way too similar. I hope that we would get some sort of update for this later, so that cities would be, like, really, really big. HQs and fort, you know, in other words, forts, would have some sort of, I don't know, an actual fort next to them, or cannons and stuff to represent that it's a fort, and maybe for villages, see, a looted village looks a lot more recognizable. Maybe you would add, like, a farm or something, like some graphics onto the side so that you would know that, yes, this is a village. Anyways, it's a little bit nitpicky, but the mod's really, really great, and you should try it out. So let me jump over here to, let's say, I don't know, let's go to London really quickly. I'm using cheats to showcase the mod, basically. Let's take a look at the Gunsmith here. There is a fair bit of variety in the weaponry. There's, for example, a Lorenzo carbine. Sharps rifles are, like, really, really good. ammunition is fairly standard, so let's, like, sell all of this. There's not much variety in, when talking to the tailors. I mean, you can wear a dress into combat, which is pretty hilarious, but other than that, you're stuck with shirts, three-piece suits, and hats. However, there is also an armory. And for that, you need to be in... you need to have +5 relationships with a faction. Now, I'm the closest to achieving that here, but I'm not there yet. So you would go to the armory, and yeah, you're not allowed to do that here. You need to have relation factor +5 and higher. So let's go into the armory, well, you know, by virtue of video editing, let's go into the armory and see what we can find there. And like so, it's been a couple of hours, I had to do a few things, but here we go. So here you can order field guns or howitzers, and they cost £2,000 each, as you can see, and they basically add a few troops into your army, but on the battlefield, you do actually get cannons to control. You do also get access to the wardrobe, which is a faction-specific, well, wardrobe, right? So you cannot find this in the tailor section or the tailor traders in the towns and various cities that you visit. You can only get this at the armory for the specific faction that you are fighting for. So let's equip ourselves some nice hat, I suppose. What does this look like? That's an interesting looking hat. Okay. I like the coat. Oh, mind you, generals, yeah. And generals' trousers. So I really like the coat, though. I think I'm going to get the coat. Yeah, definitely will get the coat. No gloves, unfortunately, but hey. Alright. And there you go. More or less, that's it as far as the mod's concerned. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that isn't done yet. Some of the... actually, I think I can show you this through the troop tree. Yeah, faction troop trees. For example, if you go over to Afghanistan, you see they don't have a troop tree yet, so all of their men are just naked, which basically means stay out of Greece and Afghanistan. That's about it. But yeah, the mod's perfectly playable. It's very, very fun. The one thing that I kinda dislike is the diplomacy system. Now, on paper, the diplomacy system is great because it's a lot more complex than the vanilla one. Essentially, the longer you're at war with someone, the more infamy your country or your faction gets. Also, you need casus belli, you need a reason to declare war. You can't just, declare war because you want to, so on and so forth. That's great, but it also sort of doesn't work at times. Because right now, I'll give you an example. So let's say Russia declares war on the Ottoman Empire, right? Great, that should be a whole, decade of warfare, lots of fighting, back and forth, so on and so forth. And then they would get to occupy stuff here, or maybe the stuff here, or maybe, I don't know, the frickin' Ottomans would fight back and... Did I say this is Georgia? I just realized I said that's Georgia. Sorry. I knew I was going to screw up. And when I said it, I just tried to move over it. Anyways, so, great. But then what would happen is, like, Egypt declared war on Russia because of the Ottomans, because they had an alliance or whatever. Good. But then the Ottomans would pull out after a few months, and now Russia's at war with Egypt. And there's 100,000 Russian troops sieging Kenna, sorry. Looked like an A from up there. Meanwhile, Moscow's, or, I don't know, frickin' Kiev or something is under attack by the Germans. Yeah, stuff like that happens, which isn't great. It's not that bad. I haven't seen any border gore yet that's too insane. Sometimes, they'll occupy stuff a couple of spots over, which is alright. Haven't seen any insane border gore yet, but it can happen, and it's a little bit annoying. But other than that, I wish they could fix that. I don't know if they can. I'm hoping that does become a thing, and that nations and different factions will basically prioritize fighting their neighbors, and try and not create enclaves somewhere, you know, in the middle of nowhere, at least relative to the rest of their territory. I think that would be great for this kind of mod, where you have all of Europe to play around with. But yeah, anyways, be that as it may, I'm just going to show you one more thing, and that is the cannons. So, oh, I also actually have footage of a siege, and how a siege is done. So, you no longer have walls, what you have is the enemy garrison is in trenches, and behind the trenches is artillery, and you have open ground that you need to cross to get to them. Most of the time. Like, that's how the sieges are done most of the time, and I think that's brilliant. I think walls break the AI in Warband way too much. Ladders would just be the death of siege battles in a time period like this. I think trenches is a perfectly viable and valid way of doing sieges, and I hope they don't change that, and I hope they don't add actual proper fortresses that you need to siege, because unless they can code the AI to be mind-bogglingly good and better than the Bannerlord one, which, you know, I wouldn't put it past them. It can happen, but it would be extremely difficult to do, and yeah, that's about it. Yeah, I'm not holding out hope for it, but if it just stays as trenches, I will be more than happy. Oh, by the way, when you actually pledge to a faction, you get to recruit their troops from the villages rather than, like, insurgents and stuff like that, which I think is pretty cool. Now, all of that being said, yeah, I think we're about done. Let me just go and find someone to fight, and I'll show you the howitzers and oh, the siege battle as well. I'll show you how it looks like now. I have some footage from a bit ago, so I didn't record any commentary for it, but here's some footage of a siege. And here we go. Now, getting the actual artillery in the battle is ever so slightly finicky. You need to actually, you can't just like start the battle and expect the artillery to be there. You do actually need to meddle around with troop deployment a little bit and make sure you have the proper units set up. So right now I've set it up so I only have one unit here, and I'm going to set them up so that they face that way. And I'm pretty sure that means that the rest of these guys are going to be just charging out on their own, which is kind of what I wanted, because I didn't want to control them, I just wanted to focus on the artillery. Anyways, you know, here it is, and you can see they're going to load the guns, and eventually, hopefully, they're going to fire towards the enemy. Yeah, they are rotating, and... holy hell. Alright, obviously, they're not going to be getting great shots. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure we've killed our own men. We should, like, position the artillery up on the hill and then fire down and, you know, like, wait for the enemy to approach. That's how you would use it. You wouldn't shoot at your own troops as they're, you know, approaching the enemy. But this was just a demonstration that the guns do actually work. The whole troop system and the whole UI thing, I think is great from one perspective, and that's, you know, when you hit U, you can control your troops. I actually do get to see how much ammo your cannons have as well, which is phenomenal. But on the other hand, I really wish I could set this up in the party menu. So I'm just going to kill these guys and show you. We've won, right? Leave. Okay, good. I wish I could set this up here, right? So let's say I go over to the party menu and I'm like, right, you are going to be in here, artillery. You're going to be in here, infantry. You can't do this from this, sorry, stumbling over my words. You can't do this from this screen. You need to go into actually the battle orders before you actually start fighting screen. That's where you set all of this up, which is a tad annoying, but I'm hoping that it gets implemented a little bit better in the future. For now, though, this is pretty much it as far as the mod is concerned. I guess what I can do is I can show you a bit of the later tech next, since this is supposed to be a showcase. So let's do that, but more or less this is how the mod works. Okay, so here you go. Around 6 or 7 years later, I wanted to show you, like, here's a new gun, for example. This is the Henry repeating rifle, 16 rounds, uses pistol ammunition. Not horribly accurate, but if you're getting close, it can be quite deadly. So, there you go. Oh, actually did something. Alright, there you go. So, this has been the game. Or, well, this has been the game. This has been the mod, rather. And like I said, it's pretty interesting. You are leaving behind some of the game mechanics that perhaps you're used to in Warband, like, oh, that's a nice artillery shot. Like I said, you are leaving behind some of the gameplay mechanics, like tournaments, and the vassal system isn't that vastly different, but there are some differences. And there's the downside of no battle continuation that's going to bite me in the arse now. But yeah, you know. Or is it? Oh. Oh, it's not. Oh, okay, interesting. Because it did in quest battles. I did a village battle and I got knocked out. Basically trying to help the villagers defend themselves against bandits, you know, that entire quest line. And it did make it so that I lost the battle and failed the quest immediately, but no, in field battles, the fight does go on until you hit tab to restart. Huh. Well, that's amusing. Alright, I did not know that. Anyways, there you go. I think that's okay as far as showcase goes. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. This has been the mod. There's going to be a link in the description down below if you want to pick it up. If you want to play it right now. Again, there are some things missing. Armor, for example, you know, you don't need to worry about that. It's pretty much all the same armor values. Just pick up a uniform that you like. But at the same time, I think for this time period, that's very appropriate, and I'm for it. I am definitely for it. Oh, and maybe, whoops, maybe a useful thing. You can actually issue orders while you're unconscious, which I hope some people find useful, at least. I don't know. There you go. That's about it for me, though. Mod still needs some work on it, but it is playable right now. You can pick it up, or alternatively, you can check back on it in a few months and you know, find it probably a lot more refined and a lot more playable than now. But yeah, just wanted to do basically a spotlight kind of video on it, because it is genuinely one of the most interesting and one of the most fascinating mods, and one of the most fun, honestly, in terms of time period and general quality that I've played in, well, dare I say, you know, with a little bit more polish, sorry, maybe ever in the entirety of this game. So, until next time, thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions about the mod, or about, you know, how to install it, how to get some things working, feel free to ask me down in the comments below. I'll see you next time. Have fun, take care, and bye-bye.